good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Not Another Rangers podcast. I'm your host Gary, and we will be dissecting the game from yesterday together with the last week. So we have some, I suppose, I was thinking earlier on, was a week in the life of a Rangers fan. What's it say? A week's a long time in politics. A week has been a Rangers fan an even longer time. Last week we were 2-0 down. Tomorrow we came back. Then we trounced our rivals 3-0, and then we were 2-0 up and decided to throw that away yesterday. So it's been quite an eventful up and down journey over the last week, and as we get into the bones of some of that, there'll be lots of recriminations, lots of discussion, lots of debate, maybe lots of disagreement around some of the who's to blame for it. Is it Big Phil? Is it the board? Is it the players' lack of application? Is it the fact we can't defend some days? There's a whole host of different things we'll probably look at as we go on for the next 45 minutes, an hour or so. So first, I'd like to welcome our guest. So, given he's joining us this evening, I'll come to Davey first. Davey, how are we? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, Gary, and all the viewers, listeners watching along. Thanks very much for having me on. Had better days, not going to lie. However, somewhat these things can be therapeutic at times.
Yeah, and that's a hope. Probably not. Not for the viewers, maybe for us. Ricky, happy New Year. We've never seen you on Friday. You took a well-earned night off.
The darts is way more important than you two gonks, so it was great to sit and watch the final of the Arrows. And I was up the mountains today with the kids doing some sledging, so that was trying to cheer myself up after Rangers yesterday. But time for therapy about our favourite Glasgow Rangers.
Up the
happy New Year. Happy New Year, all our viewers and everyone that contributes to the pod as well. I hope everyone has a great 2025. Rangers can only get better, that's for sure.
New year, new hope, new ideas, new manager, new players, all sorts of other. Hopefully, as the year goes. Scott, what about yourself? How are you?
Not bad, Gary. Not been feeling great over the festive period, but back to work tomorrow, so see how things go. But Rangers don't make you feel any better, do they? You think you've turned the corner, and then next minute there's a brick wall in front of you, and it's back to the same old. So we'll talk about that tonight. But it's good to see Davey on. I know he's up and doing himself, and Ricky calling us gonks. That's poor. That's poor, Ricky.
I don't even know what gonk is. So I wasn't that worried about it. I don't even know if it's derogatory or not. So, obviously, for people that are watching, please like, share, and subscribe. I think I said last week that the number of subscribers has increased rapidly the last couple of months, so please continue to do so. It's really great to see, and we do appreciate it. So I'm going to come at a quiz question first, right? So I was thinking about this earlier on. We have won 3 away games out of 10 this season. So we have won 3 miserable teams have managed to lose to us, sadly. Do you know, Davey, what 3 teams it was that we have managed to take full points from?
Dundee United was definitely one of them. We won 1-0 at Tannadice. That was turgid. We won in Perth as well. Is that right?
That was turgid as well. Yep.
And then I'll try to think what the third one would have been.
Begins with Ross.
3-0 at Ross County. So there you go.
So that's the 3 teams that we've managed to beat this season out of 10 games. So 10 away games, 30 points to play for. We've managed to take a grand total of 12, I believe. I think so over that time, which has been really where our seasons went wrong. Do you know, if you look at the home form, our home form is as good as our rivals, but our away form is where we have struggled repeatedly, unless we're in Europe, obviously. We've done well. So I suppose looking at yesterday, Ricky, just come to you first. First half an hour, we were outstanding. Looked like a continuation of the game on Thursday. Still trying to get my bearings. And at that point, things are going well, chance after chance, looking good, playing some nice stuff too. Fantastic goals by Igamane. You must have been sitting back with your cup of tea, thoroughly enjoying that start to the game.
Yeah, it was just a continuation of the second half against Celtic, to be honest with you. On Thursday, we were thinking, oh my God, we're taking Sunday's form on to Sunday, Thursday night's form on to Sunday here. What's happening, boys? We're playing well. 3 different, 2 great assists from Hadji and Barami. 2 unbelievable goals from the Moroccan Prince. You know, I told you the guy could play a game every 8 hours. There was no need for sports science with this kid. Unbelievable. But unfortunately, where David Gray changed it. I was listening to a few podcasts today, so I'm going to steal some information from them and pretend it's my own. David Gray totally changed the system after 27 minutes. And it total bamboozled Clement, you know. I mean, he at the end of the game, he said the players were tired and he put it down to fatigue. But, I mean, come on. Are the players that unfit that after 30 minutes were struggling from fatigue? So, to me, it's another example of I wouldn't even call him a decent manager in the Scottish League, a young manager in the Scottish League. He can see what's happening on the pitch. He changes it, and then you could start seeing we went from finding passes and finding players to playing the ball out the pitch. And at half-time, he maybe spotted it and managed to change it. But until half-time, first 30 minutes, perfect. David Gray changed it. Clement completely bamboozled. And after that, it was a total up-and-down match. The sort of match that you don't like watching as a supporter. A bit like basketball. So for me, it was a bad day all around from the manager and the players again, Gary.
Yeah. And I think, Dave, as I come to you, I think we need to be honest here and say at the end of the game, a draw was probably a deserved result. We couldn't suggest we necessarily deserved to win the game. But sticking with that first half hour, we are dominant in possession, creating lots of opportunities. The way that we like to play, get the ball forward fast, big gaps at either side and able to attack. So Hadji slaps a lovely ball back, actually. Great finish in the left foot by Igamane to start us off maybe 6 minutes in. And we are looking as though we're going down the right track.
We're a far better side, Gary, when we're aggressive on the front foot, pressing teams. The higher up the pitch, the better we are, because our deficiencies are at the back and have been for quite some time. I know it's an old cliche that, you know, a right good manager builds his team from the back, but that is very true. And it has really puzzled me as why Clement hasn't really looked to rectify that. And the same goes for Michael Beale and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst before them. I know Giovanni Van Bronckhorst was a bit unlucky in that his top target was a guy called Danilo Doke that he wanted, and he wasn't able to get him because Ross Wilson wouldn't push the money out to sign him, and he went to Union Berlin instead. But a dominant centre half that attacks the ball, attacks the spaces, his recovery pace is what we really lack, because it stops the midfield for being even more aggressive for me, because at times you can see they drop that 10, 15 yards because there isn't that element of trust there. And that's why in games you'll not see us be relentless. We'll have our spells where we're on top, but it'll never be for 90 minutes because we know our team's weaknesses. And when our opposition get on top of us in games, that's where we retreat. And you'll see guys like Raskin drop 10, 15 yards. And we really don't want them close to our centre-halves in a John Lundstrom position. We want them higher up from the middle of the pitch beyond. And unfortunately, because there's no trust there amongst the back four, despite who plays there, and even there's no trust in goals. Listen, I've been very vocal of Jack Butland at times throughout his Rangers career, but I think Liam Kelly proved why he's a number two, because he was shite yesterday. He really was. And the fact is, simple cross balls into the box, he doesn't come in command. He almost sort of Curie's under the ball, gets caught underneath it. I always say Jack Butland 6'5" and he jumps 5'10". Liam Kelly was a bit like that yesterday, and I don't know whether that's a trust issue between the goalkeepers and the centre half. But another thing that you need to look at that on top, Colin Stewart's been the goalkeeping coach since Rangers have been back in 2012 through the divisions, all the rest of it. And what is he working on? Because that's, to me, is a fundamental and something that you should be able to iron out and work with a back four and a goalkeeper. But it's something that we really don't address going forward. But I think now questions have to be put as to why we haven't addressed this issue.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's issues to talk about all the way through it. So, Scott, sticking with the start of the game, I think, because we do want to highlight the positives as well. There's no point so we do start really well, and I think there's two fantastic goals by Igamane. It's questionable defending, it has to be said, by Hibs. Rocky Bashiri, who comes up back to haunt us later on in the game, was all over the place with the first goal, and no defending whatsoever for the second goal when Igamane just walks a couple of yards and headers the ball. But 2 good balls and quite fast. Lots of cutbacks, which is one of the things I noticed yesterday. They weren't crossing them all, lots of cutbacks, which seemed a change in style. I suppose just sticking with that first half hour before we get into the meeting of the more challenging parts, Scott, how were you feeling at that point?
We're looking very comfortable, Gary. I mean, we were playing well. We were getting the ball up the park quick, as David was saying. Ball was on the grass, but it was moving quick. The players were moving as well. There was interchange going on between Rami, Adji, Germany. They were all going well. They all looked dangerous. Igamane was still frustrating at times, but Raskin was a bit more forward as well. But after the second goal, I wouldn't even say it was half an hour. I'd say probably 20 odd minutes. After the second goal, we stopped doing that, and I don't know why. And Hibs were only great. They had a couple of flurries into the box, but listen, everybody in the bug knows our weaknesses. It's cross balls, doesn't matter who's in goals. Jack Butland, Liam Kelly, Colin Stewart, the goalkeeping coach, doesn't matter who's in goals. You don't get anybody that can head the ball. And that's the first issue. And then if you don't get that, your goalkeeper's going to be struggling, doesn't matter who it is, because will they come, will they not come, you don't know. So you're not really getting anybody defensively. Who's dominant? Probably the last dominant defender we had. For my era was Colin Hendry when Abacat seen him, then I liked him. Then we had Katic, who was like that, but he couldn't play football. That's why he probably got let go. But we've not got anybody that can play Scottish football. We haven't got a big defender like other teams have got. It can just rough and tumble, tackle, boot it away, header it away. Nothing else. Just do 3 things and just defend. We've not got that. The closest we've got to that's John Suter, and he's injured at this moment in time. But because of our own problems, I thought all game, even though we scored 2 goals, and the goals were created well, but we were very sloppy with passing. So were Hibs. I thought the 2 teams were very poor. It wasn't a great game of football, as in talent-wise to watch, or you thought there was a lot of good stuff on display. There's a lot of goals because both teams couldn't defend for shit, basically. And it should have been more goals each way. But because of our own problems, Gary, I thought we stopped passing forward and started going back to sides or back to Sterling, Proper, Raskin. Playing the wee triangles you don't really want to play, because when we start doing that, we start getting the ball away. Because as you've seen, some of the goals gave the ball away. But first 20 minutes we were getting it down, we were passing forward, we were all moving as a team, as a unit, and that just suddenly stopped. And I know Ricky mentions David Gray changed it. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if Hibs changed it or no. We should still 2-0 up. We shouldn't be losing that game or even done that game. So it doesn't matter any changes he makes. That's on the Rangers players, the manager.
So sticking with that then, Ricky, one of the things that caught my eye, Cherny, Bajrami and Hadji all create a goal. So they've done their job from an attacking sense. But what it did look like to me after half an hour is we either thought the game was too easy and wrapped up, and we then lost a bit of bite, determination, and we started to create our own problems by not tracking back, by not putting in the tackles, by not progressing the ball forward, and all this stuff. And I suppose my question is partly is when you talk about discipleship, but how much is that Clement's fault and how much is that the players' fault?
Well, this is the conundrum with Rangers, Gary. So if you look at the Christmas period, mate, right, and before that, let's throw the Nice game in there, right? We go away from home. We put on a 90-minute performance against a team that's miles above any team in Scotland. We did it against Malmo as well. Over the Christmas period, we go against Motherwell and we all blame Clement. We blame the manager. He picked the wrong... St Mirren to start with, he picked the wrong team, blah, blah, blah. And I think he did with the changes. We can argue about that all you want, but the St Mirren, the second half, when we considered the right team to be on the park, they only played well for 20 minutes for some reason. 20 minutes, they had a chance to go and get the last goal, and for some reason, they just stopped playing. The Motherwell game, exactly the same, He changes it at half-time after his madness at the start of the game with 7 substitutes. The players come on. We get the equaliser at 2-2. Even the Motherwell players were on, they were doing their usual socials and stuff that said they couldn't believe that we completely sat off Motherwell at 2-2. So that game, again, we only played for 20 minutes. We play Celtic for 90 minutes and are absolutely unbelievable. Celtic are chasing shadows. They're going mad at the weekend because they lost one game. Their fans are on their back. And we, as much as mad for us because we don't put any pressure on them, we play for 90 minutes. We get a fantastic result, 3-0. We all go into this Hibs game. And to be honest with you, most of us actually expected what happened on Sunday. That's the most frustrating thing about it. As fans, we expected it to happen. We do the complete opposite this time. He picks the right team. 30 minutes were absolutely outstanding. And you're right, if the players keep the tempo and we play the way that Rangers should play, and it's the same with the other side, we blow these teams away. They can't live with us. When we get embroiled in a dogfight and start playing the boring side-to-side passes and the movement stops, the defenders are kicking it long, they're kicking it long back. Like, as much as what you want to say about a player like Martin Boyle, when he plays against Rangers, we make players like that look like Lionel Messi. It's unbelievable how Boyle looks like Lionel Messi against Rangers. I remember people going on about, but we should have signed him years ago. He's absolutely shite against everyone else. It's only when he sees a blue shirt he turns into. It's incredible, but we allow him. If we just kept that going to half time and get in at half time, there's no game management. We've said it for a long time. We lack leaders on the pitch. But when you have these conversations, you're having these conversations with yourself because you think you just beat Celtic at home 3-0. You beat Malmo and Nice teams. So you had leaders on the park that day. So why is our away form? I have got no idea, boy. I'll come on a podcast, but I have got no idea why. We can speak about 100 different things and we will do, but as me as a football supporter, I have got no idea how we have such amazing form away in Europe, at home in Europe. We're almost in the top 8 for the European League. Our form at home is the best in the league. We're number 1. And then, so that is all absolutely perfect. And then you're speaking about playing teams that are utter shite away from home, and we've only been able to beat 3 of them. So, as a football fan, it's very difficult to work out what's going on, Gary.
I'll stick with you, David, on that, because I do want to kind of pose a question, Mike, as who's to blame. So I watched Clement yesterday, and I've watched him a lot of games, and he's constantly going like that, speed up, move quicker, do this, do that. But for some reason, the players are retreating into their shell, the game's slowing down. I think maybe the first 20 minutes of the second half was passing it from side to side, side to side, side to side. That doesn't look like it's a tactical decision. That looks like for some reason the players are retreating into some different style of play. And we can say it's manager's fault, maybe, but there is also an element of responsibility on those players there.
No, I mean, the players do have to take responsibility, but I think Ricky made a pertinent point there in his last summary that there is no leaders on the pitch. There really isn't. And regardless of whether Robin Propper's been a captain in Holland the last 7-8 years or whatever, he's no a leader for me. I do not feel that there is a natural leader in the whole squad, and I know everybody sort of jumped on the bandwagon, and I did as well. After the Old Firm game, I went on Twitter and I said that I felt we're as well wiping the slate clean and starting with asking and building this new sort of ethos at the club and maybe getting over the repetitive failure that we've seen for many years. But I do also think at the same time the manager has to take responsibility. I know you're saying that he's moving his hands and things like that, Gary, but you've got to take action as well. Far too often for me, he makes the wrong subs at the wrong time, and his tactical in-game decisions baffle me. See, yesterday, when both teams had played 3 times in a week and they were starting to tire, especially when you go 3-2 up, that's when you bring on somebody like Matondo to stretch the game and you play the ball over the top and you have their players, that are struggling going back the way. Look at Rocky Bashiri. Every time he runs backwards, he's an absolute bomb scare. He really can't deal with it. The Cadden boys were both dead on their feet towards the end of the game. Very rarely did you see them run with the ball. They were more sort of hitting from deep and hoping. So as a manager, you've got to look at your bench and your strengths and see what you can do. And I'm not saying Rabbi Matondo is any great shakesy a player at all, but he does have a use and you've got to use him at the right moments. And that would have been a time to use a substitution like that and stretch the game and look to take the game to the opposition. Instead, we retreated and let the opposition come on to us, and that's how we invited corner after corner, needless pressure, and the goal itself came. And it's not the first time it's happened this season. If you look at our last 3 games, we have scored 6 goals away from home and no won any of them. And we've conceded, 7? Was that right? 3, 2 and 2. So that is ridiculous for a Rangers side of any note. But we won 2 in our last 7 games as well, which is horrendous for them. And while we might sit second in the league, to me, it points to a much bigger issue, that there is a pattern there in the away form, and the coaching staff haven't addressed it, or maybe in denial. Maybe he feels he hasn't got the personnel there. But see, at the same time, this is the personnel that he's agreed to go forward with. As I spoke about last time I was on, his assistant manager made the recommendation to Robin Proper and has obviously seen him enough. You've got to know what you need. I take it back to Walter Smith's last spell in charge. European games, he would either play Kuzan or Darshville up front, and in the league games, you would have Boyd. And look at the success it got. You've got to have a different variety player within your squad to change it up for games, but we don't. We rely on our big hitters to play every game, and we've not got a like-for-like replacement. Czerny's blown out his arse now, Gary, and he's dead on his feet, and it's telling, because I even think against Celtic, he drifted out the game very early for me. What I would hope, he hasn't really had a big impact on these games, but he was dead on his feet at Easter Road. Igamane, we're relying on him as the top man these days. Bajrami, I think he's great at pressing the ball, and he's great at against teams that you expect to be ball dominant. But see, if you're the team that's expected to be ball dominant, he's really not the type of player for you. So we've got far too many imponderables that aren't adding up at the minute, and there isn't a solution there with the personnel that we have. And whether he's going to tweak it, I just think it's going to be much of a muchness, because it's needing a different profile, a different type of player.
No, I'd agree. I'm just going to see this quote. So Smoke put up there, a defence, he's a Bassey type player. I'm putting this up because if you watched the game of Fulham yesterday, Bassey made a horrendous mistake for one of the goals. You know, his defending lacked a lot to be desired, and if he's playing for us in that game, we would have slaughtered him for it. So I want to ask the same question to you, Scott. You're not a massive fan of Clement, and I know that, but we have seen flashes at different points in time about the team's got something. There's been various different iterations when we've looked at a decent team, mostly at home, as Ricky says, mostly in away European games, mostly for half an hour in a lot of games, and then we tail off. But I suppose the issue is Clement to blame for that? Partially, yes, but where else do we look? How do we fix what is obviously a key issue in terms of these away games?
Yeah, that'll be the manager, Gary, but you have to look at the manager. You know, every team out there have got issues, and the manager's a personality for solution, because the players have got a job and are told where to go, where to do, and some of them you have to deal with that individually, some of them you don't. But listen, he said it's a rebuild. He says a lot of the players he's brought in, a lot of these guys in the team are his players, he brought them in. But it's great when you're playing Barami, Czerny and Hadji, but when you're struggling, the 3 players may have to take him out because you're playing up different opposition. The Czerny to me is the only one you probably keep on. Hadji and Barami you should probably take out and play somebody else. Because even though Czerny does look dead at times on his feet, he did created the 3rd goal for Igamane, so he can still come up with something, even though he's maybe out of the game for 10-15 minutes, because that's what wingers are like. They can out of the game for 20 minutes, but can come up with something. That's that type of player, Czerny. But we've not got anybody else. You bring in Barron, who started the season really well, but he's been out the team recently, and he brings him on yesterday, and he was trying to get involved, but when you're watching him and Raskin again, you can throw a blank over the 2 at times, playing very, very close, and it's like Raskin's going for a ball and Barham is next to him, so if one of you get beat there, there's another space. So he's going to have to work out tactically where these players are going to be. But if you look at our squad, and I've said it since the start of the season, it's no squad that's going to win your title in Scotland. because there's not enough quality there for the Scottish League. And yeah, these players are worth a lot of money, but they can't play in Scotland something. And that's no nothing to be ashamed about, because a lot of guys come up here for different leagues and struggled. It's your type of football up here. And David's spot on. Sometimes in European games it works because teams don't press us as much. They don't. Like yesterday, the two Caddens were just firing balls in for each side because they knew we couldn't head the ball. Whereas in European games, that doesn't really happen. They'll probably go to Old Trafford and get something, but then we'll probably come back at the road and get beat with St Johnstone or something, because that's a type of thing that your team do. It's like you beat Celtic, it's great, but then you lose your next game, you lose your game before it. It's actually like the thing we say to Aberdeen about you only turn up against Rangers. That's us. We only turn up in big games, but in the run of all games we struggle. And that can't be great. And I know you don't want to blame the manager all the time, but he's a guy that carries a can. And I've said it at the start of the season, me and David said it right at the start. This guy's not going to get us trophies. This guy, I know you can say that he won the League Cup last season, but he's not going to challenge the league. Come on, it's no manager to turn it around to challenge for the league. But I don't know who is. But then you have to look at the board and you have to look at the decisions they've made, which have been poor, especially with the parts. And then they brought in a CEO. And if the CEO came in to help move us forward, which I hope he does, but then come on and says that thing today about you have to wait for him to get the word out for the transfer business. I've never really heard that before.
Yeah.
The manager usually comes out and says we're making some movement in the January window. As we watched last season, we brought in Fabio Silva. We didn't really need, but we brought him in anyway. And then this season, it's like, well, it's on to Patrick Stewart. So what's going on behind the scenes? Nobody knows. Behind the scenes is just a shambles at this football club. Like I said earlier on, as long as they finish second and they can get into this qualifying stage for the Europa League, they know money's coming through the door, and then if they can get further in Europe, they lived off that for a while. They lived off till getting to the Europa League final. Then the league doesn't become as important because you're like, well, we're doing really well in Europe. But that should never come first. The league should always come first at Rangers. But with this board, and I don't know if some of the fans have turned, maybe they're happy with that. But I'd rather challenge the league every season and do well in Europe. I know Europe, that's where you make the money. And that's not me, but I want to start challenging from this football club to start challenging again, Gary, domestically, because we don't do that enough for me. And it all comes back to the board, but come on, for me, has to go in the summer. But who do you bring in? I don't know, but come on, it has to go, because he's not taking this football club anywhere under his leadership.
So, I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate because I think it's watch the game's a lot easier to say. I think he's the one transfer window. Some would argue it's more, but we'll come to that later on. Picking up in the game again, then. So we're in control, Ricky. We lose that goal just before half time. Pretty weak defending from a couple of players, really. That easy high ball. I mean, Hefty and Ridvan were pretty poor, to say the least, yesterday. We get in the second half, and I suppose the big moment is the penalty. Which I'm going to come to you first. So if you've watched, guys, I'm sure you have. There's a bit of debate around that. I think the penalty is one of those ones that's very strange, and it's gathered a lot of conversation, particularly from Phil. Come on.
Never a penalty for me, if I'm being honest. If when you've seen it in real time, I understand there's a few people saying that Hadji maybe nudged him in the back first, but when I've seen it so many times, and when you actually see it, for me, Hadji doesn't do enough. He gets in front of the player, and the player absolutely, obviously it's a coming together, and the guy clatters into him because he's trying to get ahead of Hadji. So for me, it definitely was not a penalty, but there's so many things, to be honest with you, that were wrong with our performance or defending and everything like that. So I don't want it to be another boring podcast about VAR, refs, Clancy, all that sort of pishman. Leave that to the other side, Just for me, quickly, it was never a penalty, but we had other opportunities and we should have been out of sight by that point. You shouldn't be, if you're relying on Scottish referees to, I don't know, they should be making the right decisions and that's all right, blah, blah, blah. But these refs are shocking. They're absolutely terrible. We know that, As John Beaton was speaking about, we've seen this before. So for me, no penalty, mate.
So, Dave, I mean, I get why John Beaton gave it. Right, in real time, it looks like potentially a penalty. And I suppose, like you and like all of us, we watch a lot of other games, particularly maybe the English Premier League. And watching some of the stuff in Sky, Dave, what they suggest is that because the referee gave the decision and VAR's now trying not to get involved, we don't get involved, which seems a bit of a ludicrous way of doing it. If you don't, what's the point of VAR effectively if you try not to get involved? To me, it should have been the case that he was asked to go look at it. Still comes to that decision, fine, but he should at least be given a chance to look at it because it is debatable. And while we can say we don't want to make a big issue of penalties, these do have material impact in games. A goal is a goal, and there is a couple of goals in every game.
I don't know where I sit with this, Gary. I think there is an element of clumsiness in it for Yanis Hadji and how he's caught wrong side originally. If you're defending your goal in that situation, he should be the opposite side of the defender. He's to the right-hand side, the Hibs attacking player. He should actually be to the left-hand side. He should be between the man and the goal. So he is wrong side at that point. The problem is it's a subjective decision. So the reason VAR is not going to overturn it is because it's not an absolute. It's an opinion-based decision. And at that, there's no enough in that, I don't think, for Kevin Clancy to say to John Beaton, go and have a second look at it. Because he'll ask John Beaton, what did you see? And he says, well, to me, I think Yanis Hadji's got a hand on him. It's a football contact. They've went over. He stopped him in an attacking phase of play. I think it's a foul. Penalty, that's why I gave it. Kevin Clancy can then, hearing that, can he overturn that? And let's be honest, I brutally hate Kevin Clancy with a passion. He gave one of the worst refereeing performances I ever seen when we beat them 2-1 at Parkhead, and that wasn't for him trying not to make us no win that day. So that's where I stand on Kevin Clancy. However, I don't think, from a VAR perspective, if you read between what VAR's there for and how it's implemented, there's any way that decision become overturned. Once, equally though, had John Beaton no gave the decision, I then don't think that Kevin Clancy can then go to John Beaton, go and have a look at that. So it works both ways. Unfortunately, we were punished, but then it sets a precedent, doesn't it, going forward? So if you get one like that in your box, which looks like a football in contact, it's put the referees under pressure for the rest of the season to give sort of 50-50s like that. And the one thing I do think Clement was right with in his press conference yesterday is that I should encourage my players to go down. It's that old Andy Walker debate when he used to be on Clyde. Anytime you feel a contact, go down. Well, I go down and ask the question and see where it gets you, because I think it's one of those ones, 50-50 can go either way, and yesterday it went against us.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree. As you say, if VAR hadn't, if sort of Beaton hadn't given it, it wouldn't have been given. I think it's one of those ones that VAR deliberately doesn't get involved in, and rightly or wrongly. So sticking with you, David, I think we then go 3-2 up, and Igamane completes his hat-trick with another, was it left foot, right foot header, or left foot header, right foot? Was that the perfect hat-trick? We go 3-2 up. I can't remember if it was left 15 minutes or so. He has performed outstandingly well, really good finishes, took them really well. And at that point, you're thinking, good, we've rode the storm, we should now see out the game. But I want to maybe just get your thoughts on Igamane's performance as a whole. And I think I can't remember, is it 10 goals, 11 games or something like that?
I mean, he's been terrific. And the fact that Clement said at the start of this season that this boy is not going to be ready for professional football anytime soon, and you look what he's already gave now in a short space of time, there is elements there that this boy is going to make us money. My only concern about this, Gary, is something that Kerr just touched upon in his last summary when he said that behind the scenes is sort of a shambles at the minute. Would a fee of 10 million right now tempt our board into panic selling? I think it would. I think we would sell for £10 million right away. And that worries me because there is more to get out of this boy. And obviously, if the deeper we go in the Europa tournament, that also adds to his value. If he gets, Old Firm goals and all the rest of it between now and the end of the season, you win the Scottish Cup, he gets a winner medal. That always goes to add to his value. But we're at a point now where this squad needs a refresh and there's key components missing. Is he the only sellable asset in our squad right now where we would get a return of double figures? Yes, he is. And unfortunately, I think that means that there will be eyes on him. There's players, there's clubs that have been scouting him already, as we're, well aware of. And maybe the game against Man United at Old Trafford, there'll be no bigger sort of platform for him to showcase him before the window shuts, and say he gets an important goal in that game. I think that'll mean that he's away in the January window, and I really hope not, because we get attached to players as we did Morelos, and you can see that there's genuine quality, and this boy has a terrific finisher. He's got that old-fashioned finish where he gets over the top of the ball. That's a throwback. No many modern-day strikers do that. You see many guys panic, side-foot it or whatever, but he really gets his foot through the ball, over the top of it, and his positional sense is clever as well. You can see he's also a strong runner with the ball and challenging for the ball. When he almost got the fourth one with Bashiri, look what he done to him. He really ragdolled him for the full 90 minutes. And but that's the thing, Gary. He is the only sellable asset. And when you are letting 6 players go in the summer for the paltry sum of £800,000 collectively, and you need to bring in money to regenerate this squad, then he is the guy that's going to be the sale that facilitates that.
So I think for his own benefit, I think he should stay, because I think you can see he's got great ability. He's got lots of unpredictable touches and can finish, but what he probably doesn't do is probably showing up with us something, linking up some of the play yet. These kind of nuanced things that you're doing, he's still got a lot of learning to do. You can see that. And Ricky, mainly because you can't say the guy's name properly, I'm going to come to you and get your thoughts on him.
What do you mean I can't say his name properly? He wants to leave in January because he's wondering who the hell the guy scored a hat-trick and the fans are singing Igamane, Igamane. The guy's like, who the hell's Igamane? My name's Igamane. Come on, get it right. No, he's been outstanding, and I absolutely, totally agree with what you both said there. I don't think he'll leave in January, but we have been in this bad situation before with Morelos, where clubs were offering us this sort of money, and we knocked it back. And then Morelos, the story. We don't need to go over that old ground, so we have to be careful. But I agree with you, Gary. You saw his finishing is getting better. His finishing is unbelievable. I mean, his hat-trick at the weekend was fantastic. 3 different goals. He got a lot of power in that header because it wasn't the best crosses from Barami. So he got real good power in it. It was Mark Hateley-esque. 2 beautiful finishes for his first and his third goal. But if you probably noticed that he's really poor at, and he needs to work on it, is when we break away and we're clean through. He had one against Hibs again, where it was an easy pass. I think it was into Danilo, a very, very easy pass into Danilo, and I don't know if it's just he has to get the finesse in his passing when he goes clean through when we're on the break, and that's things that he can work at Rangers, And but it will be interesting to see. I think what you'll find is you'll get a few teams taking the piss a little bit, but they know Rangers the situation we're in. So especially in England, you'll probably get an Everton bidding 7 million or something daft like that. But Rangers should never accept anything like that. We should do what they're very good at the other side. We should hold on to this boy as long as we can, because as long as he gets, touch wood, no bad injuries, I think we've really found a cracking player. And it's fun to watch, man. When we get these players in our team, you want to be able to see them for like 2-3 seasons before you sell them. He's so much fun. He can play on the left. He can play through the middle. I actually was saying before I preferred him on the left, and then he goes and scores a hat-trick and plays like that against Hibs away. You're like, wow, So we really, really are on a winner with this boy. We just need to be patient. Keep him in the team. This nonsense about... I see people that I respect, like picking teams at the weekend and they don't have Igamane in it. And I'm like, come on, guys, what's going on here? So keep him in the team. He's fit. He's young. He can play every 3 days, no problem whatsoever. And let's let him flourish and develop. And the money is definitely going to be there when it does become the time that we need to sell him and rebuild the squad. It might be in the summer, but the money's going to be there for him for sure, because his trajectory is only going to go up. Last thing, I know Coman was speaking to people in Morocco about him, and they were telling him that he wasn't going to be ready for one season. It was going to take him one season on the training ground to get him ready for the first team. So he's already well ahead of time. So it's great to see.
So 3-2 up, game should be won, Scott, and I think I agree totally with Davey. Actually, when we make some substitutions, I don't understand the substitutions personally. Cortez, I think, comes on to do that, maybe that Danilo thing, the Matondo thing. But you're looking at Barron comes on, they move Diamande wide right. Diamande can't play wide right, so it didn't work. You know what you've got? There was no shape in that second goal. Diamande.
Aye.
I would have said he was better than Raskin personally, Scott. But I don't think the substitution was great. But more importantly, we didn't lose a goal through Sterling was off injured.
Diamande was involved in 2 of the goals you gave away.
That's fair enough. That's enough. You may be right. So Sterling was off injured again. So he's played 2 or 3 games now. Do you know that's him being injured? We bring on King, and to be fair, I feel a little bit sorry for King. He's been heavily slaughtered. You know, he's a guy that's played very few little football. We are losing a very cheap goal. I suppose what it means more than anything is what do we do going forward? When Sterling's out, Ridvan's proven he's probably not a right back all the time. His form's dipping considerably, and Proper's the only man standing, which doesn't leave you a lot of positive attributes.
It doesn't. That's why you have to bring somebody else in. Listen, I'm not going to put any blame on Leon King for yesterday. None whatsoever. The boy's been out the side for that long. I think the last time he played, Joe was manager. And he's not been having he's training with the youths. He's playing against B team players. He's playing in friendlies. When there's injury crisis before they ever get a look in, and brings him on yesterday, and he doesn't get a challenge in it. Bashiri, listen, even if he was in the park, he was running that header because Liam Kelly was making it, and Proper was making the challenge. And we were sticking Raskin on the boy Miller constantly, and Raskin's smaller than me. So the defensive setup isn't right anyway. So there's no blaming on Leon King whatsoever.
Kerr, see, just when you're talking about that though, right? See Leon King, how long's he been in our academy? He first made an appearance under Gerrard when he was a manager at 18-year-old, didn't he? So why, a boy like that, have we never went to a club like Livingston to get him ready for, the bigger picture? Do you know what I mean in terms of the physical?
Well, he's asked twice ago no, and he's been told no. So I don't know if that's true. That's what I've heard. But he's that far down the list now. Leon King now has to. We gave him that big contract, didn't we? When they played the European games and upped his wages. But I think not just Leon King, there's Cole McCann, there's Bailey Rice. These guys either have to get some game time and see the other players, or you say they've been known, or they're just stagnating like Alec Lowry. And they're just basically there because they're Scottish and they're young. And when you go to European games, you can put them in a sheet and say, right, I've got all these Scottish quota guys here. Because they're not offering us anything. So what's the point in being there? So I don't put any blame on him yesterday. Yeah, he probably should have done better. Bashiri's not the greatest footballer, but he's decent in there, and he's a big boy. I mean, you've got only one guy challenging him. I know some Ricky just said very weak. When's the last time he actually played? I don't blame Leon King yesterday. Yeah, because I think if Sterling is against Bashiri, Sterling doesn't want that head either. Because Sterling's not the greatest there. I think Hibs knew that we were weak yesterday, and they were getting headers all the time. And the boy Miller at the post earlier on, didn't he? And it came back into Liam Kelly's arms. So, but players like Leon King, Cole McCann, and Bailey Rice, they have to get their future sorted, either as in, right, organising a loan somewhere, or see if he can get rid of them. Ross McCausland falls into that as well, because Ross isn't right down the pecking order. And Ross McCausland yesterday was one of the ones that I brought on before Cortez. I know a lot of folk don't like Ross, but he works hard. He does get stuck in, yeah, he can be weak at times, but Cortez to me is just an accident made that. He's going into injury. He's going to cost us £3 million for somebody who's just constantly plays 3 games injured. Just rename him to Sterling, but Sterling didn't cost us that much money. I just think the squad at the moment isn't great, but Leon King yesterday, no, not at fault, but if he plays on Thursday night, then he's going to have to improve, and along with his Proper injured that came up yesterday in Sky, I've heard other people saying he's suspended, sorry. I've heard people saying he's not suspended, so I don't really know, but whoever's centre backs in Thursday night, it's going to be difficult because Dundee are going to watch what Motherwell did, watch what Mum did, watch what Hibs did, and Tony Dockett's no daft. I say Rangers are weak. Keeper, centre backs, that area. Just swing the ball in, left, right, long balls, and you'll panic or struggle. You'll get a half chance, you get a head on it, you get a chance. And it's no hard football, it's simple stuff that beats us. And the manager should have noticed that well before January 2025 because he's been here a while and he's not done anything to improve it.
Scott, sorry, he's proper as not suspended. Sky are thick as mints, mate. As usual, as you can tell by the pundits they've got on their show. If you get 6 bookings in Scotland, it takes 1 week for the suspension to kick in. So you're always it always takes 7 days after you get that last yellow card. They made a mistake with that. It's the same with Raskin. That's why Raskin is suspended for Dundee and he wasn't suspended for the Hibs match.
So sticking, I suppose, with the game in Dundee, Ricky, then, Joe, we have proper then. We don't have a lot of options in defence looking at that particularly, and King, as I say, has been heavily criticised. Sterling's likely to be injured, probably for a while again. Now, what would you be looking to do on Thursday?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's Balogun, he was meant to make the Celtic game and then he's went back to another 2 months on the sidelines. Suter is out until February, so it's pretty grim, Mike. If it was me, I would be bringing in one centre-back on loan before the Dundee match. I think it's a must now, And there's business. We'll have to do some business in January, so we need that centre-back, even at right-back. I mean, Yilmaz was all over the place against Hibs. I thought he was good against Celtic, but I don't know what happened to him yesterday. He was absolutely... Every time he got the ball, he kept just kicking it to the Hibs. It was incredible, man. It was like his little feet were tied together in the second half. He was driving me nuts. I was throwing things at the TV. My wife was going mad, man, because every time he was trying to run forward, he just kept giving. And Yefte was the same. So it's a tough decision. So what we've got just now, we don't have any choice just now. I believe Butland is supposed to be back, so that's at least him back in the goals. Let's hope the rest has done him good. And then it's going to have to be Yilmaz at right back, Yefte at left back, and it's going to have to be Proper and King. And you just have to hope that unless you ever, Proper and Nsiala are both left-sided centre-backs and the most left-footed centre-backs you're ever going to see. So you can't move one of them to the right. So you would imagine that's the only 2 options he's got with the squad and the fit players. He either plays this AC Milan boy on the left and puts Proper to the right, or he sticks with King and then hopes that it was just a bad mistake that he made against Dundee and can actually show us something,
Talk about Yilmaz, because I've seen a couple of comments there. I thought it was fascinating. Obviously, after the Old Firm game, there was this clamour that he was the best right back in the world in this point in time. And that was mainly because Czerny in the midfield and everybody was stopping the supply getting to Maeda. But I like the comment here that says that because Maeda cuts inside, whereas yesterday he was playing against left foot, it was then much more difficult to do. So I think Yilmaz is our only option at right back for the next foreseeable, given that Dav's probably out for a while, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, but I think that maybe, you can come up with all the excuses in the world and say the conditions, they were punting high balls up, Boyle, you can rattle out 10 excuses, but that's Scottish football. The weather's not going to be any better at Dundee. It's probably going to be more rain, more colder. So, I thought he was very poor. I was disappointed because I was looking forward to seeing Yilmaz at right back and I was looking forward to seeing Kelly in the goals, and I thought both of them were very, very, very disappointing.
Yeah. David, just coming to you, when we're also looking at Dundee games, there's challenges around the defence in terms of just pure numbers. You talked a wee bit about the tiredness and other players, and I suppose just thinking what we're looking to do on Thursday night and Tayside, when it's no doubt going to be cold and freezing and miserable, and as the Dens part. Actually, the pitch looks better than I thought it did for a while when I seen a game last week. Just what would you be looking at?
Well, I agree with Ricky in terms of what we're going to be facing. Certainly physicality. Simon Murray would definitely fancy his chances against Robin Proper, and I actually think they'll go 2 up top and they'll play Curtis Main beside him if he's still there, if memory serves me right, because whoever the 2 Rangers centre halves are, whether it be King and Proper, whether it be Proper and Nsiala, that is going to be a baptism of fire for Sunday. I don't even know whether he might switch it and go is Adam Devine still there? I know we're probably better with Sydney Devine at right back, but the way I'm looking at it is you might be better with a natural right back playing in the position. And the one thing Devine does have, his height, he certainly doesn't have physicality. He's a big streaky piss, but at the end of the day, you might just be better playing a right back at right back. I think that's the thing. If something works once, Gary, teams find it out very quickly. And the thing with Yilmaz playing against Celtic, what that allowed us today was condense the pitch because we dominated the midfield, because Yefty likes to come inside inverted, Yilmaz played inverted, Cherny hugged the touchline, and we sort of had 5 in the middle of the park against Celtic's 3, and we overran them. Maida didn't have the space down the sides. But as Ricky alluded to earlier, Hibs realised, Rangers are playing the same way. So what we're going to do, we need to find how we can stretch the game and get at Yilmaz, and they made that tactical tweak. Dundee aren't going to make the same mistake, having watched the last 2 games. If Yilmaz is playing right back, they're going to know exactly how to play it. And I just think that they'll bypass the midfield and play the long ball and just go straight at us. So do we have the personnel there at the moment to combat that threat? I don't think we do, looking at the squad. So we have to make sure that we score more than what they do. And that's the thing. If we start potent and attacking them, we run the risk that we run out of gas as we did against Hibs. So it's a fine balancing act. I just don't know if we've got enough threat. What's the issue with Danilo? Can he not play 90 minutes beside Igamane? Can we not bring 2 attacking threats? I don't think it's going to be a game that we need Bayrami to play, because we're not going to be pressing the ball too much off the ball. Dundee's not going to have it. So I think it's an element where you can play Igamane and Danilo, and hopefully that gets us a bit of joy. But really...
would you go Bayrami or Hadji? I'm just thinking, because obviously both play in the left, or Cortez even for that matter, or Matondo. There's other options in that left-hand side. I get your point of playing Danilo, but...
I think you stick with Hadji at the minute, because he's got his goals, and his goals assist record recently is excuse me, pretty good. He is contributing, but I don't think you can risk Oscar Cortez. Look, when he come on at the weekend, he's still a mile off it in terms of physicality, and he wants to come inside and play inside the pitch. I think in the second half, like I said, what should have happened at Easter Road, we'll be looking to stretch the game. We might need him to come on for Cherny on the right-hand side and have Matondo on the left-hand side later in the game. I really think it'll be, similar to the starting lineup on Sunday. Obviously, we're Raskin missing and Sterling missing. Hopefully, Balogun's fit enough to come back. He might need to take a pain-killing injection just to get us through the game. But other than that, Gary, I can't see too many changes. Maybe Danilo in front of Bayrami. But who plays beside Diomande? Is it Barron? Because the last time it was Barron and Diomande, that was absolutely honking for us. So that really is another worry for me going into the game as well.
I'm just thinking as you're talking that. But then you remember the old Ryan Jack played it right back with the central midfielder that played right back, and Barami right footed. You wonder if there's an option around that. That to me would maybe make a sensible solution. Somebody can play it there.
Cole McKinnon's done it a few times.
Has it?
Right back. So I would put Cole in there before Devine myself, but that's just me. But I'm not the manager. But he's going to have to change up, because some of the players do look tired, but Dundee are going to be physical. They're going to be just what Davey was spot on. I said it myself. They're going to bypass middle of the park. It doesn't really matter who you play in there, because the ball's going to be over their head all the time. So it's a case of trying to be compact and hit them. But I would go with 2 up top. I don't know why he stopped playing Igamane and Danilo. I thought they were forming a good partnership, and I thought that look, they could be dangerous, but he's went a different way, hasn't he, in the last few games? And I know, come on and he scored and stuff, but I think he gives you a bit more. I think I would leave it with Barami. I think he needs a rest. I think in games like this, he does okay, but we need more. I'll keep Padgett on his side. I know people saying he was poor, but he got another assist, and he can find something. Just he's like Cherny. They can be quiet, but then they can do something to create a goal or get a goal. So you need players like that on your side, especially when you're struggling. It's defensively what it goes with. It has to be proper. I would go with Salah myself. I think Johan Kind's confidence is on the ground, and he knows the manager doesn't want him there. basically. And he's probably been told that, but he's on the bench just probably sitting on the bench with his slippers because everything gets on. He's been told you're going to go Sterling injured, you know that way. So I would go away and Salin, drop him. I don't maybe go away. I know he won't, but I'd probably go away maybe a right foot at right back in McKinnon or Barron or somebody. Jeff, I didn't think was great either.
No, he's not been great for a while.
He's still young. He's a bit like Igamane, because Igamane's scoring goals. Both of them play off the cuff. They're still learning their way into professional football. They've not had a lot of experience. So but when you're a striker, you can get away with it more. And that's why Igamane, he does let him down at times with his passing and stuff, but that will come. But it's the rawness in him. That's how he's getting these goals. Because he's no been moulded into a player. The manager's no rubbed them all off and says, this is what you're doing, this is what you're not doing. He's just doing what he wants, like chasing down the Sheedy and then winning the ball and nearly scoring, winning half the part and nearly scoring. But hanging back off him, so he knows you're going to make a mistake and say that just what Dessers does, going and trying to get a foul, and that never happens, whereas he's a bit more clever. Like a man, like I say, he watches it, bounces, and then he goes and gets it. So he is pulling off the cuff. He reminds me of, and it's not in a similar way, just the way he's impacted when Mike Owen first on the scene. He was rapid and he was scoring goals, but his overall line play wasn't there. But when that became better, his goals ratio kind of started to dwindle, but obviously injuries came because he was that fast with hamstrings and stuff. But Igamane, you have to keep playing him. You can't move him, and I think he has to form a partnership with someone. And you can see that with Jekyll and Hyde at times. They know who he's going to be, but I think you need to play Dundee next to him. I really do. And listen, we should be going to Dundee on Thursday night. We should be going there and getting a point. We should go well, and we should be going there and thinking we need to win here. But no one is sitting here thinking we're going to go and win, because this is a Rangers side. And it's a Thursday night, so that might help, but it's not Ibrox, but it's still a Thursday night. But this is a Rangers side, Gary, and come on. They've got moments where they do really well, and we're all jumping a bit daft in the stadium. I think that performance is great, and then they've got other performances where you think, this isn't good enough, this manager's not good enough. And that can't continue long term. But on Thursday night, he needs a result. Because if he doesn't get a result on Thursday night, that's more points behind first place, and we're fighting for second place. Dundee United are not far behind us. Aberdeen fell off a cliff, but Dundee United are not far behind us. And I know they'll drop points at times, but so are we. That's the issue. We're not kicking away for anybody. So we're sitting second, but we're not kicking away for the team behind us. So you get first, and you get a big massive points gap to us, and then you get the rest of them just behind us. And that shouldn't be happening. But like I said, if you're getting results in Europe, a lot of people are happy with that. But to me, you have to start looking at it. So I'll be interested to see what the manager does. And somebody says, I don't think the players respect him. I don't really respect him. I think he talks gobbledygook, and I think he's not got a clue what he's doing. But as a man, I don't know him personally, so I don't know that way. But as a football coach, I just think we're just going very, very similar down the same road as Monaco. Everything is going that way, and it's really bad. And it's going to come to a end of the season where you get your letter through your season ticket, and you're come on, signed it, looking forward to this season. You're like, no, again, man. I can't be up and down all season like that because we don't know what Rangers is going to turn up. But Thursday, I just hope we get a good performance and we get 3 points because we need it.
Ricky, you've been bursting again there. I think I could see you in the background there.
No, it was just I love how Rangers fans don't get carried away. That's Igamane compared to Michael Owen and Didier Drogba. nothing like keeping her feet on the ground with a youngster and
I never said it was very cool. I just say similarities.
I'm putting that in the comments, man. That's the headline for the pod tomorrow.
Sterling's got some injury record as Mako and right enough.
Aye, same injury exactly. He's got the same hamstrings, mate, for sure.
He's got more injuries than Igamane's got goals in the season. So we'll just go down the table now and see prediction, because we always like to finish our prediction.
Ricky, sorry, but so I agree with what Davey said. Man, Barron didn't work as the number 6, so I think the manager needs to be a little bit smart about what he's going to do with the midfield, rather than just chuck Barron in there at number 6 and go, him and Diamande and Haji's just going to work. I would maybe just go for Dundee. If our defence is that bad, why not just go for Diamande, Haji and Barami in midfield and just play Igamane, Danilo and Cherny up front and just beat them. You know what? At least try and if we play for 40 minutes, we can maybe get 3-0 up and then just we can't even hold it out. So we'll see what happens after that. So no, it's very hard to predict, mate. I mean, to be honest with you, it's that defence is. And it's really annoying me, the club as well. Like, we should have been on the front foot, the straightest right away in January, trying to move 10 players. 10 players for me should have been told that it's time for them to leave the club. You've got to find new clubs, and that doesn't mean that all 10 are going to leave, but they should have been told that, and we should have been informed as well to try and put pressure on their players, and we should have been bringing players in straight away in January. We need a couple of defenders. We know we need another striker. Dessers has done it, Rangers. Thank God for that. I hope we'll never see that donkey ever again in a Rangers jersey. So there's a lot of players. Matondo, come on, Dowell, these players, man, they shouldn't be playing for Rangers. We should be trying to move them on as soon as possible, free up some wages. And if it has to be loan players, it has to be loan players. We were linked with a guy from Marseille that cost 9 million. That's 23-year-old. That was a bit of a strange one. We don't need
as well, so we might sign him.
We don't need. I mean, there's rumours today. You don't know if it's true that Clement was offered Johnny Evans and he's knocked it back because of his age. I mean, if that's the case, then come on, what is going on here, guys? You know, because we need experience. I know we've got Balogun, but just to get us for like a season or two, I think we could really do with a good player. Johnny Evans, Rangers man. I know he's not got much pace, but I think he would do the business, just heading out balls and stuff like that. So I think that would be good if the club could do that. So for Dundee, I'll say 2-1 Rangers. Absolute turgid slog, brutal weather. Brutal for a Thursday night in January, but at least we'll get the victory, and that'll be your question on Monday. Will be 4 teams Rangers have won against away from home. See if you can catch Ross out with it on Monday. All right.
Sorry, I'm actually going to the game in Dundee, so I'm hoping for a bit better than a third 2-1. You know, so I hopefully it's a better night than that. Davey, just coming to you then, just a prediction.
I'll keep it short and sweet then, Gary. The problem in the league for us this season is the fact that the 13 points behind that we are in the league has been dropped to like dross like Dundee and the like. Say that is, you know, we're 50-50 in the Old Firm games this season, but these are the types of games that we have been dropping points in. So I'm going to go, we've had a 2-2, we've had a 3-3, I'm going to go 4-4 and Rangers to get their first penalty of the season.
Oh, that's taking it too far. That's highly unlikely. Scott?
I think we'll get a draw. I don't see winning. I don't see we were going to defend. I can't see on for that side against. That's you say St Mirren, Motherwell, Hibs. They've looked suspect, and Dundee are going to make it any easier for us. So I think the best will get a draw. So I'll say 2 each.
So more goals, lots of goals, but no result, no 3 points. I thought somebody asked a question in the chat earlier on about Tav. If Tav was due back now, it sounds like Tav's out for weeks, and Suter to me sounds even more suspect. That's so quiet as to what he's out for. You could be looking at him be out for months for the sounds, although there's nothing much being said. So it doesn't look like either or both of them are going to return anytime soon. And Sterling is obviously going to probably be out for a few weeks. As I'm going to Dundee, I'll be up there. I'll be looking for something a bit more exciting. I'll probably go for a more positive result, a more positive win than that. I don't expect it, but I may as well go for it as we finish the pod and end a good thing. As the title of the pod said, you know, consistently inconsistent, which is exactly the way it's been for the last 4 or 5 months now. And until we get consistency, as Davey says, particularly in the away results, we're not going to achieve anything. We can be good as we want at home, we can be good as we want in Europe. Unless we get consistent and win games away from home, we are still going to be saying the same things each fortnight if it's a away game, still complaining about the tactical deficiencies. Sadly, there's very little chat in terms of transfer news. There's not much happening. Patrick Stewart's still to come out this week and tell us what's happening for the future, which is a little bit ominous in its own right. I think given we're now an hour and a bit into it, I think we'll leave those for tonight. We'll maybe come back to them on Friday. If the Dundee game was as rubbish as you're all saying, we won't have that much to talk about in terms of that. So, unless there's anything you want to add, David?
There's one thing, if there is any transfer rumours, certainly Patrick Stewart will hear about it first.
And on that note, thanks for tuning in, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe, all the stuff we do. You know, we do appreciate it, and we will be back on Friday night to discuss, hopefully not the fallout from the Dundee game, and look forward to whoever the hell it is we're playing after that. Is it St Johnstone on Sunday? Can't remember. First of 3 or 4 games at Ibrox, so all's going to be looking good from next week. We do well in those games. Good to see you all. Take care. Bye now.